I want you to imagine this hourglass that I have here represents your life. Within this hourglass, I want you to think that the grains of sand in this hourglass represent each moment of your life. And that as these grains, as these moments slip away, those are things that you can never get back. These grains for you might represent time spent with family, or maybe time not spent with family. For you, they might represent the bedtime stories that you choose to crawl in bed with your kids that they beg you to read, or maybe for you, they represent another night of telling your kid you're too tired, maybe tomorrow night. For you, maybe they represent the I love you that you finally said to that special person and it changed your life forever, or maybe it represents words still unspoken. For you, maybe it represents the apology that you offered and that friendship has been restored, or maybe as these things fall, they still represent the grudge that you continue to hold toward one another. See, as each grain falls, we're all reminded that there's gonna come a point in our lives where all the sand runs out. And see, here's the thing about time. Time is the only currency we ever spend without fully knowing the balance. I mean, just let that sink in. Time is the only currency we ever spend without ever truly knowing the balance. Like, I don't even know if you'd want this, but there's no hourglass of your life where we get to see how much sand, how many days, how many opportunities are left. Annie Dillard says, how we spend our days is how we spend our lives. How we spend our days, what we do with our time, the things we do, the people we hang out with, the habits we create, the things and people that we prioritize, how we choose to spend our days is actually a really good snapshot of how we ultimately will end up spending our lives. And see, when you really stop and think about it, time is actually the most precious and valuable commodity that we have in life. Because once you've used it, you can't ever get it back, right? Even billionaire Warren Buffett said, man, I can buy anything that I want, but the one thing I can't buy is time. And so if time is the most precious and valuable commodity that we have, then knowing how to spend our time, knowing how to steward the time that God has given us on this earth is actually one of the most important skills in life that we can all master. One scholar says, wisdom is skill in the art of godly living. Skill in the art of godly living. And so when we pray this prayer, Lord, teach me, what we're saying is, Lord, teach me the art of godly living in my home. Lord, teach me the art of godly living in how I parent. Lord, teach me the art of godly living at my job and in my relationships and at school. Lord, teach me to number my days that I may gain this heart of wisdom. Lord, teach me. Go ahead and put that picture up. This is one of my kind of personal, super practical attempts to really do this very thing, to memento mori, to remember that one day I will die. This is one of the ways that practically I say, Lord, teach me to number my days. This is a little thing that I've hanging up in my little home office, kind of right above my computer. It's a chart, it's called My Life in Weeks. And so what you're seeing, I know it's a little hard to see, but what you're seeing is that every single one of those little squares represents 1 week. So an entire row of squares represents an entire year. That's why it's filled in nice and neat, because we just finished 2024, right? And so the idea is, as you go about each and every week in your life, at the end of the week, you come and you fill in one of the little squares. What's crazy is, inevitably I'll forget to fill in one of the squares and I'll come back like 2, 3, sometimes even 4 weeks later. And it is just wild. It's wild that I come in and I just fill in like 3 squares. I'm like, where did those 3 weeks go? Like, what did I do with those 3 weeks? If you look at it, you probably can't see it, but in the top left, there's a tiny little red cross. That's when I got saved. And then toward the middle, kind of toward the right, there's 4 little red squares. That's approximately when each of my 4 kids are gonna turn 18. Maybe you've heard this. Stats say that by the time your kid turns 18, you'll have spent over 90% of the time that you'll ever spend with them. And so it's just this incredibly sobering exercise for me to, forget to fill these in. Then I go and fill in 3 squares that are that much closer to my kids turning 18, which means that's that much less time that I have with them. And so it's just this way, if you see at the bottom, it says we only live once. It's this way that I'm trying to say practically, Lord, teach me to number my days that I may gain a heart of wisdom. Some of you might see this and it starts giving you like low-level anxiety to like visualize the time that you only have left. For me, this chart doesn't produce anxiety. What it does is it provokes me to action. Memento mori, remembering that we will die. Lord, teach us to number our days. I mean, it's not about fear of death. It's about creating clarity around what really matters in your life. It helps me say, God, Lord, help me make my days count. I want to be like the late theologian Jonathan Edwards, who used to pray, Lord, please stamp eternity on my eyeballs. God, as I wake up in the morning, help me lift my eyes to the hills where your help comes from. Lift my eyes above the temporary materialistic things of this world, things that are gonna fade, that moth and rust are gonna destroy. God, lift my eyes to eternal things. Help me live for those. Help me use my grain of sand for those things. The reality is, as of today, your boy's been alive 13,857 days. I could live another 15 to 20,000, or Elon Musk might discover something that can make me go to 50, who knows? Or today could actually be my last. And I don't think that's morbid. I find that motivating. Numbering our days, memento mori, remembering that we're gonna die. Lord, teach us to number our days. It's not about mustering up this motivation to kind of carpe diem and seize our way, seize the day through life. It's about remembering our mission, rejoicing in the eternal hope that we have, remembering our identity, who God has called us to be, that he has given us meaning and purpose in this life that he has sovereignly appointed you to. And when we find that in Jesus, we allow that to shape the choices and the decisions we make with our grains of sand. We say, God, teach me to number my days so I know how to spend my time, so I know who to spend it with, so I'll know where to look for encouragement, so I'll know how to spend my money, so I'll know what entertainment to seek out, so I'll know what people I should be investing in and what people I should be allowing to invest in me, so I'll know what memories I should be choosing to make, because how we choose to spend our days is ultimately how we will spend our lives.